Jay, do you have the Abbott document that Ms. Loomis wants me to sign? I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not going to try. Okay. Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Yvonne Green.
Good evening, Dr. Pat.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's 7:00 p.m. Calling the open session to order. We do have a quorum. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the understanding that items 7M, personnel file audit project, and the corresponding 10I for action are being removed from the agenda tonight. Ms. Williams prefers to pull them off, and she will return them in a different format for the July 13th meeting. So with that exception, I ask that the agenda be approved. Motion. Is there a second? Moved in second. We're ready for the question. Hearing none, all in favor, aye. To all of the presenters this evening, including the information and discussion items, we have 24 of them. So we're asking you to be succinct this evening. Do not read to us or do not recapitulate what has been said in a document earlier, if possible. Announcements, Ms. Morrow Rio.
Thank you. I just returned from the Igniting Great Ideas school board meeting, in Springfield. And there were two things that I brought back with me just for information. And I did share this with Dr. Triplett so he could share it with the principals for these students. S.M. Wilson, who was a sponsor of the breakfast and the luncheon, um, in honor of their 100th anniversary, they're having a Skills Centennial Awards program for students. I believe that they are elementary and middle school students. They want the students to submit to them ideas of things that they would do that would inspire their local community. The winner will receive $1,000 and from them. And so I'm going to ask if it's okay for this information to be shared with the students that would be eligible for this program. The other thing, and I'm pretty sure that I heard it mentioned before, was I attended the sessions on Grow Your Own, where the discussion primarily at all three sessions was ways to encourage students that are in high school to consider teaching. We had some individuals there from about 6 school districts that have really phenomenal programs, and they shared ideas with us. But Paul Catnett shared the best idea with us. He said that uh, every school district in the state of Missouri is going to receive $10,000 to either start or enhance their Grow Your Own program. So I just wanted to share that. He said that they were going to try to get information out to everyone at least by July 1st as to how this money is supposed to work. And I think that it's a one-time allocation, but you can take up to 3 years to use it. So more information will be coming on that.
Very good.
Mhm.
Ms. Oswald? I have no announcements. Patron participation. Ms. Fields, do we have any patrons?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, then we'll go to the superintendent's report. Dr. Spurgeon?
Thank you, Dr. Beckwith. No report this evening from superintendents, and but I'll have some information regarding the back to school plan coming up quickly.
Okay. We're now down to our information item, prop or update. Ms. Green?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Shay, I'm going to try to share my screen. Share. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues, and community. Just want to report out our Prop R update for the bond project. Okay, I might be having some technical difficulties here. Okay, so the first slide is just a recap of some of the completed projects that we have. Danforth flooring, parking lots at various schools, fire alarm upgrades, roof replacements, RTU replacement, more parking lots, the electrical upgrade at central office, the facilities drainage. So right now, the current projects that we have, active projects that's going on now, we still have rooftop replacement. It's about 98%. We have one school left that we have to wait on the county to approve and give us the certificate so that that's online. Right now, as again, 98%, 70% MBWB participation. The next current project we have is the HVAC control upgrade that was approved, board approved for $759,769. We're about 80% complete. I've also completed some invoices and Ameren rebates. So I'm looking forward to receiving some nice payback, some rebate money back. So that will be forthcoming. Also, the other active project that we have in the hopper is the school-based health center. It's at 10%. We have some upcoming meetings. So that ball will start rolling real soon to start some to see some actual work going on there in the school-based health center at the high school. Did I skip one? So, okay, another current roof replacement. some section of roof replacement at LeMasters. That's about 20% complete. Should be finished the end of August. That's 100% WBE. The next current project is Central Middle School roof replacement. It's about 20% complete. And I'll share more information on that later on during the meeting. The next upcoming project is our district-wide security camera upgrades. We're still going through some of the bids that we received, asking questions, getting vendors to come in to share the type of cameras that they're proposing to use. So that will be forthcoming. So these are the categories that we promised the voters that we would do, and the green shows those that are complete. The golden color are the ones that are complete or some more upcoming in that category, and the yellow is upcoming projects as well. So summary to date, we have 28 completed projects, 28 projects approved, 23 completed, 5 that are ongoing. As of date, our total MBE participation is 33%. Total WBE participation to date is 7%. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald,
No questions.
Ms. Norville,
No questions.
I have no questions. Ms. Green, facilities year-end evaluation.
There was the budget piece to the Prop R update, and for whatever reason, I can't bring it up, but the main thing is that we have approximately $200,000 left to spend. Are there any questions about that?
I have no questions.
No question.
Continue, Ms. Green, with the next item.
Okay, so the next item is the facilities and maintenance custodial year end. And on your copy, the copy that I submitted to the board had the wrong year, had the right date, but I put 2020 on there instead of 2021. So moving on. The goals of the facilities department is to maintain safe, clean, and healthy, welcome environment where teachers can teach and scholars can learn. The other goal is to fill empty vacant positions. So this just gives a list of the director of facility, myself. We have a new custodial supervisor who is, she is a great asset to the team. She's always been a member of the custodial staff, but she's been a very great asset to the custodial supervisor team, Ms. Sherry Parker. She should be on the meeting as well.
Ms. Green, let me interrupt you. Is your presentation, are you going to put up your presentation?
It is not showing?
No.
Okay, it says that I'm sharing my screen.
The Prop R is showing.
Okay, what's going on?
You have to refresh your screen. So right.
Okay, so let me go.
Or I can pull it up for you if you need me to.
Yeah, because I don't see, it's doing something crazy. Now I've lost you guys, so I can't even see you all.
I'll bring it up.
Okay, thanks, Shay.
You're welcome.
So we can go. And I've talked about the goals, so we can go down. And I was just talking about our new addition to the custodial supervisor staff, Ms. Sherry Parker. We have the maintenance staff, and we have 6 vacancies in our maintenance department and 2 vacancies in custodial staff. For the first time since I've been here, that's probably the lowest number of vacancies we've had in custodial. So just want to talk about some of the strengths and needs that we have in our department. Strengths are that we do have dedicated, knowledgeable staff members, longtime custodial as far as being committed as well. The weaknesses that we have is the vacancies, finding it hard, us along with other school districts and everybody else in the nation, finding it hard to fill positions. Next screen. So some of the opportunities that we've had in the facilities department was with the passage of Prop R, we were able to make some improvements and remove some obsoleted systems. Also, some new programs that I'm hoping that we have opportunities to use ESSER funds with. And some of those are some new HVAC projects, as well as air purification systems in all of our classrooms and all of our buildings. And so some of the challenges that we had, not being able to fill vacancies, and we're still using HVAC and plumbing contractors on a daily basis. So our next steps are, we're going to continue to purchase PPE for district employees and students, as well as continue on with our school-based health center, the cameras, and as I said before, maybe using ESSER funds to do some more HVAC projects. Continue on with capital projects, a boiler maintenance program, as well as roof maintenance program. Next slide. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our roof maintenance program. This program has been in place for about 3 years. And so far with this roof maintenance program, we've received about 50% of calls for leaky roofs. Usually when we have a leaky roof call, we put in a work order and that company is out to do some minor repairs within the first 24 hours of us calling them. They've also been using drones with infrared studies to see our roofs. And the next slide will show some of those pictures. So with that drone and the infrared, if you see the top picture on the right, that little circle, that was a bullet hole. But the picture on the left, because that water got in there for so long and we couldn't see some of those things in that bullet hole, you see that bright orange color is all the wetness and the damage that that small bullet hole caused in that roof. So the picture down left are some of the bullets that they retrieved off of our roofs, bullets, shells, and everything. And so when we replace roofs in our district, the bottom right picture, we want to go with aggregate roofing. It will help stop bullets. Of course, when bullets are shot, the velocity of it and gravity, we won't always be able to prevent bullet holes, but this aggregated roof stops a lot of those bullets from penetrating our roofs. And also other school districts like St. Louis City Schools and East St. Louis City's school districts are starting to use the aggregated roofing. Next slide, please. That concludes that. Are there any questions?
Ms. Morreal,
I have no questions.
Ms. Oswald,
No questions.
Ms. Green, I've been told I was principal of a building with a flat roof, and flat roofs seem to retain water more than slanted roofs, and therefore there are more leaks with flat roofs. Would you agree with that?
Not necessarily. What happens, we just have to do a better job of making sure that the roof drains are cleaned and unclogged.
No other
So
question?
even though the roof looks flat, it still has a slant, so the water still runs away or towards the drain.
I understand. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Comprehensive school improvement plan, Dr. Nichols, and a reminder, we don't want to read or we don't want to recapitulate what's been said before. Dr. Nichols?
Yes, understood. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon and colleagues. This evening, the team will provide you with a brief status update regarding the school improvement plan for the district. We will just briefly provide you with a few highlights. Most of the information was previously shared in January. Shay, can you go to slide 4, please? So as you know, the school improvement plan is built around 5 core elements listed on the screen for effective instruction, leadership, collaborative cultures, curriculum and assessment, and technology. Slide 7, please. There are several things embedded throughout the comprehensive school improvement plan. The instructional core program focuses on improving student achievement and improving teacher instructional practices and providing students with support. At this time, Dr. Kennedy will come forward to share information with you regarding the data that aligns with the comprehensive student improvement plan.
Sure. Thank you and good evening, SAB board members, colleagues, and community. If you look at slides 8 through 11, that's just existing data from the 2019 MSIP. And so during the this spring, whenever we did take the assessments, DESE has scheduled release for those for the EOCs in July the 30th, and then in August for the grade level assessments. So we'll be able to update that at our next CSEP meeting. But Shay, if you can slide through to, I think, slide 11. All this data is existing data that was presented at the last meeting for CSEP. Keep going. You can keep going. One more slide, please. All right, and this is updated data. This is from our reading for our elementary schools with the Fontes and Pinnell, and it's for grades 1 through 5. It compares, the blue bar compares data from the December administration, and the red is for the May. I do want to apologize because I know, and I spoke with Dr. Bethwick a little bit earlier today, that he requested that we put the percentages on there, and whenever we tried to put a hyperlink on there, whenever it was converted to BoardDocs, it didn't transfer. So I can try to give you some information on that. But the trends are pretty similar through the data that you're going to be seeing in the next several slides from December to May, that there's going to be, aside from the younger grades, first grade and second grade, those are the grades that experience the greatest amount of deficit or learning loss, if you will. And that could be attributed to the fall in the number of students that are participating or who did not log in. It could also be associated with, the lack of technology skills and the assistance that they have. You can see that there's an increase in third grade, and fourth grade is very similar. And fifth grade, there is a slight increase as well. And what you're going to notice throughout these next data slides is that even though there's a difference between the increase and decrease, it's very slight, within a 1%, which is good considering all of the information that you hear about the potential of learning loss, but also the greatest amount that difference that we have is in the first grade and second grade. So if we can go to the next slide. The next 2 slides, I'm going to send the board members some updated data as these slides. You can go ahead and keep going, Shay. You can go past the high school reading data, but I will send that out. But as far as the middle school goes, there's been an improvement in all 3 grades. 6th grade, yeah, you can slide back down or up again. One more. Yeah, that's fine. And even though the increase at the middle school, there was in all 3 grades, it was a little bit less than 1%. 8th grade improved the most at 2.7%. And at the high school showed an improvement of 4.1% in the 10th grade reading. The other grades saw a decrease of ranging from 1.4% to 2.7%. So there's not a big gap right there with the data that we've accumulated. And again, this data is being obsessed or taken from the STAR that we took in December, and then that we also took again in March. And if we go down to the district math data, please. This is broken down by grades. You're going to see the similar patterns. If you look at first grade and second grade, you can, and even third grade, You can see there is a decrease in those, but as you keep going, and again, middle school, this has happened again, and this is the math data. You can see in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we saw an increase. And then there's just a slight variance in the grades at 9 and 10. And again, with the STAR math data, we only assess students in Algebra 1, which is 9th and 10th grade. Next year, we will be adding Algebra 2 and Geometry. So if there aren't any questions, I'm going to turn this back over to Dr. Nichols, because she's going to get a little bit more into that math data slide with effective instruction.
Dr. Nichols, you're muted.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Good evening again, Special Administrative Board and colleagues. So there are 4 goals under effective instruction, and all 4 goals focus on improving student performance in all of the content areas. So Shay, can you please go down to the next slide for slide 19? So under the goal 1, we have a few highlights that I'll just share a few updates because you already seen this information before. I would like to first share that 36 teachers participated in the Summer Best Practices Professional Development Academy this summer. The teachers engaged in teacher-led professional development, and they were allowed to choose several topics around cognitive engagement strategies, technology, and Kagan classroom management. Those are some of the areas and professional development that teachers participated in this summer. Also, we are in the process of completing a professional development calendar, and the topics for the upcoming school year will include topics around vertical teaming, creating common formative assessment, tiered mathematics, understanding by design curriculum training for teachers, and trauma-informed training for our staff. In addition, our scholars did receive additional intervention support in the area of math and ELA for Tier 2 and Tier 3 scholars this summer and throughout this school year. We use the Freckles and the Dream Box program online for our scholars to provide them with additional support. We're also writing curriculum this summer and including related arts curriculum using the UBD framework. Ms. Ross is in the process of implementing that process as we speak. And last, this year we collected artifacts around the 5 strands of the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan in an effort to evidence the work that is taking place in the district. Can you go to slide 20, please, Shay? Right there. So goal 2 focuses on improving the reading performance of our scholars. So if you look at the chart listed on your screen, you'll see that the blue and red graphs provide you comparison data for December and math. As Dr. Kennedy previously stated, you'll see a slight decrease in the area of reading for elementary schools across the board. Again, this could be due to the lack of participation in online assessment for our scholars this year. In addition, we'll see slight increases for middle school and a slight decline for high school scholars. Next slide, please, Shane. So a few highlights for goal 2 includes the district completing dyslexia screening in grades KG through 12. In addition, we also put in place an assessment team to assist with writing and creating district level common formative assessments. Also, 151 scholars enrolled in the Jumpstart and the Universal Summer programs this year. In addition, we enrolled 31 scholars and 51 middle school scholars in the Launch Virtual Summer program. And to date, librarians circulated 11,303 books in grades KG through 12 across the district. And last, we had 43 scholars participate in a virtual and in-person after-school tutoring program this school year. Next slide, shade 22, please. So the focus of goal 3 was to increase research-based practices in our buildings. This year, we engaged in 3 virtual instructional rounds using the Google platform. Our observation data indicated that 61 of our scholars were provided opportunities to explain and justify their work and generate questions. 61% of teachers use individual student responses and exit slips to assess our scholars. However, we had 81% of our teachers delivering instruction at the DOK acquisition level. As you know, our goal is to increase our level of acquisition for our scholars to reach the levels of making meaning and transfer of goals. Slide 23, please. And the last goal is goal 4. It focuses on improving math performance. So again, if you look at the chart, you will see that there was a slight decrease in the area of mathematics for our scholars at the elementary school level. You will see some increases at the middle school level and a slight decrease for our high school students. Next slide, please. Slide 24. And some of the highlights for and updates for goal 4 are that tier 3 scholars received additional support this year, virtual support from our instructional assistants and identified teachers at the building level. Also, the scholars utilized the intervention support program Freckles and Dream Box for supporting them in the areas of mathematics and literacy. And last, we did provide tier professional development for our teachers this year in the area of implementing the Freckles and Dream Box resource online. Are there any questions?
Ms. Norville?
Yes. Dr. Nichols, I am actually in the process of tutoring one of the students that he's going to be a middle school student. And one of the things that I noticed is that he has difficulty when it comes to vocabulary or utilizing vocabulary to understand some of the terms that I was sharing with him. And I'm just wondering how much time is devoted to vocabulary, even in math, so that students at least understand what the words mean that may assist them with a problem.
So we do have resources embedded in our new ELA curriculum that we will be adopting for benchmark literacy and savvy. This school year, there is a vocabulary component of those resources that's dedicated just to vocabulary. So when the teachers create their lesson plans, they will have an opportunity to address the various vocabulary skill sets that students need to work on this school year. And they can put those skill sets into the learning centers when the students are going to centers daily.
And if I could add real fast, when we were doing the CFA development, the last part of what we did is that we went through the ELA, we went through the math, and we added in, so when we the vocabulary component, so when we actually roll out the CFAs, there's going to be vocabulary questions on each CFA in both ELA and math.
Yes. And also, Ms. Mauriel, the work that Ms. Ross is doing with curriculum writing, throughout the units, there are activities and resources embedded in the units of the UBD curriculum around vocabulary.
Thank you.
Ms. Oswald?
I would also find it helpful to have percentages that go with the red and the blue colors. I would appreciate that information.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Kennedy will be forwarding you all the specific percentages for each grade level and for each school. The link was inactive when we converted the document into PDF, but Dr. Kennedy will be sharing that information with you.
Thank you.
The results from December to May are startling, discouraging, and I understand much of it is due to students not staying with the program virtually. But even when the percentages increased, they were very, very slight. Just a comment. Continue.
So at this time, I will reintroduce Dr. Kennedy to introduce and share information regarding curriculum and assessment.
Sure. So, and I agree with you, Dr. Beckworth. That's where, we have some work to be done. And part of what this area is to address that. And it's a process. And if you look on slide 25, there are 3 goals, obviously, to increase the student achievement along the lines with our MPI with MAP, and then The second goal is to utilize a standards-based grading system for kindergarten through 5th grade. And the last one is to utilize a student assessment notebook. And it's a step-by-step process. You have to implement step 1 before you can get to step 2. So Shay, if you can go to the next slide, that would be great. You can skip that one. That's just another summary. Thank you very much. So for goal 1, with increasing the student performance, we have additional new instructional resources that have been adopted both online and in person. Today, the truck driver came in and he's bringing in some of our new resources. You know, there's like Dr. Nichols already stated that the curriculum is consistently being revised under the leadership of Ms. Ross. I know currently that in the last 8 days, she's been working on even the related arts being developed. The STAR assessments have been administered, and then the main focus is that we need to make sure that the curriculum that is existing is that it is aligned with the assessments, the common formative assessments, and even, you know, analyzing the STAR and the unit assessments that are in our curriculum. And there'll be a lot of work around that in the month of July. If you go to the next step, please, Shay. Thank you. This is developing a standards-based grading system through kindergarten through 5th grade. The committee has looked at some existing report cards that from other districts, but it really gets back to, we can't complete ours until we decide what standards are relevant to our scholars. So we're continuing to use the STAR, the MAP, and the CFA data to determine which of these that we will be reporting out on. And the main thing is that once we get the CFAs in place, which I think is going to be a work in progress, but I think I know we're going to get it done, and that will determine what our report cards will look like for the district. And the assessment committee will be taking the lead on this. If you go to the next goal, please, goal number 3. This is the assessment notebook. So the whole purpose of the assessment notebook is to ensure that students are keeping track of their own learning so they can set goals for themselves and they can practice. And Dr. Nichols has already mentioned Freckle, which is part of the Renaissance. So the STAR benchmark talks to Freckle, and it allows teachers to assign the standards that they need to work on, and then we'll be able to track that. But I feel confident that this will be a good first start, and then we can modify that from there. The next slide is technology, but I do want to emphasize one other thing, is that it's a process and we have to complete step 1 before we get to step 2. So the standards have been identified through Ms. Ross, who's tying those to the priority standards. And then as we develop these assessments that are aligned to the standards, the other critical component, which Dr. Nichols and Ms. Ross and I and Ms. Sharp have talked about before, is that we have to make sure that the district curriculum is being implemented. And the way that that can be done is through the common formative assessments. You know, there's a lot of great resources out there, but we got to look to our internal resources first and use the others as supplemental. And then the next part of that is that the students and the staff are able to keep track of the progress towards their understanding of standards. And then we can finally get to that report card, that reporting process, to where we can report out to our families and our community to where our students are at. Are there any questions?
In the interest of time, let's move on.
Okay, I'll introduce Dr. Larry.
Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Good evening. There are 2 goals under the technology focus, and they are: 1, integrating and upgrading the infrastructure, and 2, implementing a computer science education in the curriculum. Say, if you'll go to page 32, please. The update for the Infrastructure is that we want to make sure you know that we had talked about replacing those non-functioning boards. And so far we have replaced them in Coke, LeMasters, Glasgow, Highland, Moreland, Lewis and Clark, Moline, Lewis and Clark, Danforth, LeMasters, and Meadows. We've also talked about completing a basic care sheet that is complete. We will send that out at the beginning of the school year. We're going to send it to the students as well as to principals. The monitoring of the internet and the wide area network is occurring, but we really can't do that efficiently and effectively until everybody returns to the district, because we'll get a false sense of what's going on in the district. Any remaining Chromebooks, we will obviously distribute those. And as I said, to distribute that check sheet. Next page, please. The status of the computer science education is that, as we said, we decided to go with Project Lead the Way. And we've been implementing that. As far as completing or selecting the teachers, we've done that. And we're waiting for the principals to present them to the board for the next step. We've also applied for funding from Toyota. We haven't heard from that, but we've also applied for DESE College and Career Readiness Grant. We've already determined the equipment that is needed. And as I said, selected the participants, and we're working closely with the Project Lead the Way coordinator, Dr. Joyner, and anybody who knows him knows how enthusiastic he is, and his emphasis is making sure that the program is implemented with fidelity. And that is what we're doing thus far. Any questions, please? If there are none, we will go with Dr. Patton, who will talk to us about collaborative cultures. Dr. Patton?
Thank you, Dr. Larry. Good evening, SAB, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues, and stakeholders. I'm going to report on goals from a collaborative culture perspective. Shay, can you go to slide page 36? So our first goal was related to student performance in the area of LEA, math, and science. The collaborative cultures perspective is more of a supportive, providing students with what they need and helping families. We were able to we had 10 learning opportunities with our parent university this year for both scholars and for our parents, ranging from Google Classroom to improving reading strategies, to assisting families toward improving credit scores, to Zumba classes. We also teamed with Alive and Well this year to kick off our trauma-informed practices that will be in full effect next year. We started that with the principals retreat this year. To date, we've had 60 food distributions for our community and for our students. Additionally, we've improved our communication by using our Facebook pages, our social media presence, as well as our website. In addition to that, our district, Ishmael Sistrunk, who's our communications director, he's also been putting out newsletters every month this year to inform parents. I believe that started in November. Recommended changes will be to make sure that we are paying attention to our suspension rate and making sure that we are putting in place the trauma-informed practices that we will focus on for next year. Shay, you can go to the next slide, please. The next slide is relative to increasing the scores of our seniors for college and career readiness. We are working to provide summer internship for our students, as well as getting them prepared for the ACT classes and senior seminars. We are also developing partnerships with community members such as Workforce Centers of America, Brotherhood of Electrical International, and then Prevent Ed. Next steps will be to make sure that we are developing a program where we're bringing in principals as well as counselors to develop a more robust plan for our scholars in building and improving their college and career readiness. And then we will continue to actively seek out partnerships within the community to provide our students with internships as they move forward. You can go to the next slide, Shay, please. The third goal is to improve attendance at our schools, and we will continue to focus on the health and wellness of our students by providing immunization clinics, oral health, eye health, things like that to keep them in school. We will continue in the 21-22 school year with COVID immunization clinics, as well as actually informing our parents of COVID immunization clinics, as well as giving them trauma-informed practices for our parents as well. You can go to the next slide, Shay. This is a slide that covers the last week of attendance for Riverview Gardens, and you will see slightly about 50% of our students were participating in in-person instruction, and slightly, just a tad bit more participated in our virtual learning. Shay, you can go to the next slide.
Hold on to that one for a moment, Dr. Patton.
Okay.
I'm looking down at the high school where it appears that 70 to 80% of those students were virtual. And I'm suspecting, because many of them were required to be caregivers for their younger siblings, because that's a very high percentage of virtual for a high school.
Absolutely, sir. And as the counselors and social workers made contact with families, a lot of them said that they had gotten jobs to help their families because of job loss within the family, as well as parents, you know, your younger siblings being at home, and the older siblings had to take care of the younger siblings. So you are exactly right. They had to support the family.
Okay, continue.
Thank you. And my last slide is relative to student discipline. This is where the trauma-informed practices will come in very strongly next year, in helping our teachers, administrators, as well as our parents support students who live in trauma. I believe that this will be, and research shows that this will improve the attendance rate of our students by reducing the suspension rate and providing alternatives to suspension. That ends my section of the CSIP plan. I would like to introduce Dr. Triplett, who appears to be in his last board meeting with us, and he will be missed. Dr. Triplett will be reporting on leadership. Thank you.
Good afternoon,
Dr. Triplett, you can't be heard on the screen.
I was doing good too, I'm telling you. Good afternoon, Special Administrative Board, Superintendent of Schools, colleagues and community members. Shay, you can actually just kind of go through each slide and just kind of, you know, go slowly, give people a chance to just kind of read it, because I don't really need the slides. There haven't really been any much change since the last presentation. This year, we know it was a difficult year for all of us, especially difficult when you try to discern whether or not strategies worked enough to make some solid recommendations. Due to the pandemic, this school year, there has been no significant movement with regards to the leadership and accountability's goals of this, with the state assessment, with the college and career readiness assessment, with the attendance and or discipline. With respect to attendance, it's difficult to really to judge whether or not strategies worked, because you had students virtual and in person. And then with district wide, you had roughly half students doing virtual, half students doing in person. And you have support people really scrambling to make sure students got to school, and then students participated in virtual. So it's kind of icky with regards to whether or not strategies work, because strategies changed day to day depending on what the issues were. That being said, all building administrators will continue to implement robust processes with respect to each goal and make adjustments accordingly for next year. All administrators have processes and procedures for and plans for attendance, for discipline, and academic performances, and even the high school with CCR assessments. So we'll continue on those paths and make sure that we're implementing with fidelity. Any questions?
Ms. Oswald?
No questions.
Ms. Morrill? I have no question.
That ends my report. Thank you, Special Administrative Board, Superintendent of Schools, colleagues and community, for allowing the Comprehensive School Improvement Plan team to present to you all tonight. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next item is the travel report. Ms. Sharp.
Yes, good evening to the Special Administrative Board, colleagues, citizens of the community, and certainly to Superintendent Spurgeon. Tonight, I present to you information. It's a long time coming since I've made a report in terms of out-of-area travel. But tonight, you have information as it relates to employees who are traveling or who will travel, the school and department in which they are performing their duties, the name of the conference or the activity, date, city, state, and projected costs. So this information is comprehensive for the rest of the year that I have in my possession. There are several that I am in the process of processing, and certainly that will come on the next report. I will entertain any questions you have at this time.
Ms. Morreal.
I have no question.
Ms. Oswald.
No question.
Yes, not a question, but a comment. Ms. Sharp, when we're using acronyms, especially those that I'm not familiar with, like MLDA, asterisk it in the future and put a notation at the bottom so that I will know, have a better idea of what that conference is. Or MOASPA, I know because Ms. Williams is going, it must have something to do with personnel. But for those type of acronyms, I understand AASA, et cetera, but MLDA, and things like that, asterisk for me in the future.
I certainly will do that. Thank you.
We're now down to our discussion items. The first one is the special audit that the administrative board wants done by Kerber et al. There have been some over expenditures and we need the auditors to look into that. The cost is $15,000 for the first 100 hours. Dr. Singleton will be requesting a supplemental budget because this will cost more than we have in that line item. Do note that the auditors are saying the issuance of the report will be dependent on the cooperation of district personnel. The SAB expects district personnel to participate and produce documents as requested by the auditors. Any questions, Ms. Morreal? Ms. Oswald?
No question.
Okay, let's move to the next item. Back to school plan for 21-22, Dr. Spurgeon.
Thank you, Dr. Beckwith. I'm going to be brief here this evening. You have the plan in front of you. You had a chance to read through it. Number one, this is the tentative plan based on the best information we have available at this time. The plan components can change up and through the start of school based on any changes and guidelines from the Center for Disease Control or CDC and or the St. Louis County Health Department in the future. This plan is very similar to how we ended the 2020-2021 school year in plan requirements as health and safety protocols remain in place and all scholars and adults will still be required to wear a face covering. The major changes of the 21-22 back to school plan are number one, there'll be no virtual option for scholars except the Missouri Course Access and Virtual School Program or MOCAP mandated by law. That information is contained within the plan, the website where families can go to find the additional information about that. Secondly, the provision of the use of the AMI-X or extended plan expires June the 30th, 2021. The AMI plan will be used for inclement weather or emergencies when the district or schools are closed. All scholars K through 12 will follow the same contact tracing guidelines beginning in the 2021-2022 school year. Scholars and staff who test positive for COVID-19 will be quarantined. That day has been reduced from 14 days down to 10 days, according to guidelines. There's some new information in the back to school plan for fully vaccinated and unvaccinated persons as it relates to face covering requirements in certain locations. Athletics, field trips, classroom activities, and extra co-curricular programs may fully resume as long as health and safety guidelines are followed. RGSD facilities will be available for use for inside and outside groups, as long as health and safety guidelines are followed. There's an update to the RGSD child nutrition information. Some of the Q&A section has been updated with new information for your review. And lastly, the Family First Coronavirus Response Act expired December 31st, 2020. Special Administrative Board authorized an extension resolution of COVID-19 leave on January 12th, 2021, and that extension expires on June 30th, 2021. And those are the major updates to the back to school plan. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald,
No questions.
Ms. Maraville?
No questions.
No questions, Dr. Spurgeon, just a comment. We're really going to have to bring home to parents that the only virtual option is the one that you mentioned. Everybody else has to be on site. I suspect through Mr. Sistrunk and other means of communication and principals, we need to hammer that home.
And one of the things that I will arm each of you here with and also on the call is that AMIX or extended plan authorized each district in the state of Missouri to offer the online at-home virtual program. And that option is no longer available after June 30th, 2021. So legally, we don't have the ability to be able to allow students to remain virtual based on the expiration of the AMIX plan expiring.
Thank you. Dr. Singleton, Esser, budget and application.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon, community, and colleagues. Tonight I will just give a brief summary of the ESSER 2. And ESSER stands for Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. It's the ESSER 2 budget and application. As you are aware, the Riverview Garden School District was awarded $15,672,712 in ESSER 2 funds. There are about 12 to 14 allowable activities that you see in BoardDocs. That information is published there. It's also published through a guidance document by DESE and on their web page as well. The major components of the Riverview Garden School District budget here are a reimbursement for salaries and benefits. So if you look at the budget impact next to 61,100, you've got the dollar amounts that we are seeking reimbursement for. Now, keep in mind, ESSER is a reimbursement grant, which means the district must spend the monies. The funds or the expenditures must be paid for, and then we submit an application to DESE for reimbursement to recoup those monies. So the majority of this money, roughly $11 to $12 million of this, will go to reimburse salaries and benefits as they occur throughout the school district. So can you go down just a little bit more, Shay? There are a few other line items. Material and supplies, we have budgeted at least $1 million to improve technology. I do know Dr. Larry will probably be happy with that. We also have some other monies for material and supplies. And then in the 6,500, 4,000 line item, there's about $1.4 million in capital outlay that the facilities department has outlined some improvements to the air quality in our school district. So there's going to be a lot of rooftop units and HVAC system replacements at the majority of all of the schools. And so that will cost us, or is estimated to cost to the tune of about $1.4 million. I will say that there may be revisions to this as we go along, and we certainly plan to bring any revisions before the Special Administrative Board. Again, $15,672,712. The majority of the money will go to reimburse salaries and benefits that are eligible under these 15 reimbursements, as you see. And then we have budgeted some other items. That is the information for ESSER 2 budget in application. Are there any questions for me at this time?
Let me make a comment. Board members, until Lawan, Dr. Singleton and I met today, I was going to ask the board to pull this agenda item, because you just can't, in my judgment, give me a sheet like this with generalities and expect me to approve $15 million. But as he sat down with me today, he gave me examples of what that money was for. And that's what I'm asking for more of. This is what comes out of the manual, okay? Tell us what instructional, if you're going to spend it on staff, for what reason? And he explained for reimbursement for money we had already spent, because COVID allows you to go back to March 2020. But as a board, I feel we need more particulars and not just what you sent to the state. This is what is sent to the state, okay? This doesn't tell us a whole lot. And next time we're going to get 34 million. So you just can't give us what you pulled out of the state manual. You have to give us some particulars on it. But I'm in support of this. The one thing I didn't ask you, Dr. Singleton, for the high school health center, is any money been put in that facilities acquisition and construction for that health center?
That is not included in this particular request, although Dr. Beckwith, it is an allowable cost, as we know of ESSER. And again, as I mentioned, it can be amended. And so I do think that we can include this in the application. So what we have to do is submit that as a grid item and get DESE to approve it first. And then we can move forward with that. So if it is the will of the Special Administrative Board, I will put that information into our budget grid and ask DESE to give us approval for that.
And that was just a question on my part. I'm not asking the board to approve that, but it seems to me that's very logical. It's a health issue that certainly deals with COVID, the impact of COVID-19. If we don't ask them for reimbursement, it comes out of our own budget. Am I correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay, just a comment. Now, Ms. Oswald, any questions?
Question.
Ms. Morreale. Are you unmuted?
Okay, I just wanted to comment that there were several people that had questions. Dr. Van Deven was at the luncheon. And so a couple of people asked her. So one of the things that she stated is that people need to be really kind of precise in what they submit as far as this is concerned. And then also timely sending in of information. They're really pushing that, so I just wanted to throw that out there. They talked about that while we were at the conference.
And it's important, the line item or the comment that most ease my nerves is there is no supplant in this, okay? Although you spent district money in the past, you can switch off and spend ESSER, but there's a maintenance of effort clause that you can't go down on what you would normally spend and just use ESSER funds. No other comments, Dr. Singleton. Let's go to the 21-22 insurance rate. Monica, is that Monica?
Sure. Good evening, Dr. Beckwith, Ms. Morreale, Ms. Oswald, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues and community. Tonight I will be presenting an item of the 2021-2022 insurance rate changes. We get our insurance through the CSD Insurance Trust, and the rates here are for October 1st, 2021 and ending September 30th, 2022. We have increases in the following areas: medical, the KISS plan, and the HSA. Decreases in dental, vision, basic life and accidental death and disability insurance, and voluntary life. There will be an increase of $30 per month for the medical plan, for the kids plan $16 a month, and then for the HSA $18 per month for the employee costs. A decrease in the dental rate and also the vision rate. It is recommended that the Special Administrative Board accept the insurance plan rate changes as proposed. Are there any questions?
Morreale.
No questions.
Ms. Oswald.
No question.
Ms. Williams, my so what question is, so in the aggregate, how much more will the board be paying for insurance by these rate increases?
I will have to get the total. I will work with Dr. Singleton. Offhand, I don't know, but I do know that it's $30 a month for the
I understand that part of it, but when you put all of that together for the different ones, just send us an email on totally how much more will the board be paying for these insurances, because benefits are a big part of our budget. Are you there?
Sir, I will put that information together and have it sent to you.
Oh, thank you. Our next item is food service RFP. Ms. Ebram.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues and community. This evening, I put forth the school year 2021-2022 service bid as an item for discussion. This spring, the food service bid was made available to potential vendors to secure firm pricing, procurement and delivery of food supplies and services to our food service warehouse and school sites. At the close of the bid, we received 12 sealed proposals. We compiled a team of district administrators to evaluate those proposals. And at the conclusion, we selected Cole Wholesale, HP Products, Preferred Packaging, Prairie Farms, Creation Gardens, Grease Masters LLC, and Commercial Kitchens. It is recommended that these vendors be approved at a cost not to exceed $1,800,000 from the food service budget for school year 21-22. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald,
No questions.
Ms. Morrill.
I have no questions.
We took, Ms. Ebram, we took a big hit this school year on food services, did we not, for youngsters not being on site?
That's correct.
Okay, can our budget support this? Is this reimbursement?
Yes, we can.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next items are all from Ms. Green. So Ms. Green, I want you to roll from one to another. We're on the floor tile replacement in building 4.
Yes, sir. Good evening again. This asking the board to approve the replacement of VCT tile at 5 classrooms at the high school. Kind of got this backwards. Later on, I will be asking for the abatement piece first. And then after the abatement piece, then asking the district to approve a contract with ICS Construction at a cost not to exceed $13,367.20 with includes a 10% contingency of $1,215.20. Are there any questions?
Ms. Morrill.
No questions.
Ms. Oswald.
No questions.
Ms. Green, I read this a couple of times and I didn't see anywhere in there where you had the name of the school.
Oh, it's at the high school. I thought I put it in there, the high school building.
I saw building 4. I said, my point is the school was never mentioned by name.
Okay, under justification, flooring in several classrooms at the high school.
Okay, I must have missed that then.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, continue.
Okay, the next one is for the roof maintenance program. That's to continue our contract with weatherproofing technology to continue on with our roof maintenance program at a cost not to exceed $62,000, which includes $7,100 for minor repairs. Are there any questions?
Ms. Morrill.
Have you been found success with these individuals?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
That's all I
ma'am.
wanted to know.
Yes.
Ms. Oswald.
No questions.
I have no questions. Continue.
Okay, so the next one is board policy DN-2 requires that the SAB approve any surplus of inventory of district property that is no longer in use to resell, scrap, or whatever. We have about 5 vehicles over at at our warehouse that have been vandalized. The catalytic converter have been stolen, and they've been sitting there since before I got here. So asking the board to approve that we resell that. And then also there's 8 school buses over there that have been surplused out as well as some other equipment that was taken out of the middle schools and high school shops areas before I even came to the district. So asking for board approval to either scrap or resell those items that can be resold.
Ms. Oswald?
The money or whatever proceeds are gained from that, those go back into your budget?
No, ma'am, it usually goes back to the general operating budget.
But that's not what this says. I don't believe.
Well, I would like for it to go back into our budget to buy other equipment and supplies, but I think it goes back into the general operating budget.
And I think you are correct, but I thought I read where it said it goes back into your budget. Maybe that was another one. But go on, Ms. Morrill.
I have no questions.
Okay. Ms. Green, I couldn't discern that attachment that you had. Only those that you handwritten beside it are the surplus, because you have a number of vehicles on there.
No, sir, the ones that are highlighted in yellow,
Mhm.
those are the ones that I'm asking the board to allow us to surplus.
Okay, I'm wondering why, Shay, scroll back up a bit. There's a vehicle from 1997, and you're saying it's still in good running shape, that Ford?
No, sir, you will see the ones before I got here, I think in 2015, my predecessor asked for those particular vehicles to be surplused.
Were they?
They're not at our warehouse, so I assume that they were. I wasn't here. I was told that they were sold.
Okay. The other thing, do we have a cycle for replacing some of our vehicles with new vehicles?
Yes, sir. Dr. Singleton and I have been working with Enterprise Fleet Management Company on rotating our older vehicles out and bringing newer ones in. And so he and I are working with Enterprise, as I said, and once we get that budget put together, he or I will be presenting that for board approval.
Okay, and that's good, because especially if vehicles have our names on them and they are 1990 vehicles or 1992, that doesn't represent the district very well.
I agree.
Okay. Is that your, no, you have an abatement?
I have one more.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
Okay, so this item here is for the abatement of those 5 classrooms at the high school in Building 4. So I'm asking that it be approved tonight as an action item. And the reason for that is because it will take at least 6 weeks for them to set up containment and to remove asbestos containing material. And then once that's done, we have to send it out. The test results have to go out to a third-party testing lab. And then once we get those cleared, results cleared, then we can tear down the containments. And then this project will take about 6 weeks. And then the earlier project that I asked for, the floor layers will come in and put down new vinyl tile.
Question, Ms. Oswald?
No question.
Ms. Morrill?
Oh, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's at a cost not to exceed $28,149.
Okay. She answered my question in her presentation.
Okay, I have no questions. The roof repairs at Central Middle?
So this really hurts my heart to present this, because this is a change order. I was hoping that we got through Prop R without any change orders. So I think we did pretty good, because this is the first time that I'm asking the board to for an additional amount of monies to do a section of Central Middle School's roof. What happened was, once the contractor got up there and started replacing part of the roof section that we were going to restore, a restoration project, there is a thin layer of concrete that is poured. And once they start taking that up, they realize that that concrete from previous roof layers or whatever. I think it happened when the roof blew off of Central Middle. Well, it's no longer concrete. It's almost dust or powder. So the adhesives that they put down won't do it any good to adhere to powder, because if there's a strong wind, it can uplift that roof. So now the roof, once they tore that off, they saw that the roof is unreliable. So that restoration project is now going to turn into a roof replacement. And this project is at a cost not to exceed $153,000, $455. It hurts my heart.
Ms. Oswald,
No question.
Ms. Mario,
I can't hear your
Right.
question.
unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm saying, you said that you had about 200,000 left of the money to spend. Is that coming out of that money?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
She asked my question, so I have no questions. Our 21-22 revised calendar, Ms. Williams.
Good evening again. We'll be presenting the 2021-2022 calendar revision. The month on the template that we use to create the calendar, January 30th and 31st was inadvertently omitted from the calendar. And so therefore, January 31st is a Monday. So one additional day had to be added to the academic calendar, which added one student attendance day and also a work day for teachers. However, in June, we decreased one of the teacher work days. And so with that change, that revision, that update, the calendars in compliance with the DESE rules, and it is recommended that the Special Administrative Board approve the revised 2021-2022 district calendar. A recommendation for approval will be presented later in the meeting. Are there any questions?
Ms. Mario, do you have any questions? No questions. Ms. Oswald?
No question.
I have no questions. Next item, temporary staffing, Ms. Williams.
Yes. The human resources currently is experiencing a high number of employee vacancies. And so in order to improve the efficiency in the hiring process, I'm asking that the Special Administrative Board allow us to contract an independent contractor and 2 current RGSD 9-month employees if needed to assist with the hiring process. I'm recommending Angela Hester, who's worked with us in the past and who has done a wonderful job. The rate for an independent contractor is $25 an hour. Her services will be needed for approximately 6 to 8 weeks, not to exceed $6,000. And then we will only have the 2 9-month employees if needed, and that's not to exceed $9,000. The cost will be paid from the human resources budget. It is recommended that Mrs. Angela Hester be approved for use as an independent contractor and 2 9-month employees to assist with the hiring process in human resources from June 23rd, 2021 through August 20th, 2021. A recommendation for approval will be presented later in the meeting. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald?
No question.
Ms. Mario?
No questions.
I have no questions, Ms. Williams. Item M has been pulled from the agenda and it will be reworked and presented at the July 13th meeting. So we're now on item N, summer security schedule. Dr. Patton.
Good evening, SAB members again, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues and stakeholders. I bring before you an item for discussion and action related to the security of our school district in order to ensure the security of those buildings that are being utilized by students and personnel, as well as those buildings that are not being utilized during the summer months due to the recent thefts, break-ins, and property damage of vehicles, buses, and some of the thefts that Ms. Green presented. I bring before you a summer security schedule for the months of June and July. And I'm recommending that the SAB approve the employment of security for the months of June 2021 and July 2021 to provide safety for the school district not to exceed $20,000. Are there any questions?
Ms. Mario?
No questions.
Ms. Oswald?
No question.
Dr. Patton, is that $20,000 within your budget?
It is currently within our budget, Dr. Beckwith.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you. You said currently.
Currently, yeah, Levon Singleton and I, he showed me where we were in our budget, and the $20,000 is currently in the 2021 budget.
No other questions. Missouri Reading Initiative, Ms. Sharp.
Good evening again to the Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon, to colleagues, and certainly members of the community. Tonight, I'm presenting to you for discussion the Missouri Reading Initiative. This is not a new initiative. This year, we are making a different request because of the limited number of professional development days, and in order to maintain the integrity of continuing with the literacy initiative, there's a need to implement a different process. And so we've worked with the Missouri Reading Initiative so that they would be able to provide PD to staff grades K through 8. That would include the core content teachers, ELA teachers, librarians, and all of those listed on this document. The cost of this request for the training is $59,400. However, because this is information that would require teachers to work during the non-contractual year, we would need to offer stipends for their professional services. And so that cost would be $99,785. That money would come from initially from the PD 1% budget for the current school year, the upcoming school year, with the hopes that we would be reimbursed from the ESSER funds. Have been in communication with Dr. Singleton, and so it appears that that would be a valuable source for us. So this particular entire request is a total of, and I can't see the title, so if you could just roll up, it's $159,000, and I'm not sure the exact odd cents because I'm not looking at my other screen. So I'm making the request, the recommendation that the implementation of this professional development for the Missouri Reading Initiative for teachers, there's no coaching, so there would be no requirement for substitute costs with this request. So that is a total amount of not to exceed $159,185. And the recommendation is for approval at the next board meeting. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald?
Question.
Ms. Morreale?
I have no questions.
Okay. Ms. Sharp, did we make the 75% required professional development spend out this year?
I don't have the exact amount, but I will do the research. I don't just have that information in front of me, but I will do the research and give you a response.
That'll be fine. The Pro Learning Art for K-12 teachers request?
Yes, so Pro Learning for K-12 visual art teachers is a virtual platform which allows professional development for art teachers. This is a new and unique opportunity for our teachers, our art teachers, to have on-demand professional development. The total cost for this request is $4,000. Scroll it down, Shay, please. The total cost is the amount of $4,927. This quote that is attached has been forwarded to legal for review. Are there any questions?
Ms. Morreale?
No questions.
Ms. Oswald?
No question.
I have no questions. Is this last discussion item yours also, Ms. Sharp?
It is, yes, sir, it is, certainly. So this is student-centered coaching proposal. This is not a new proposal for the district. So the request is to have professional development for instructional coaches. And also there is a component included to provide support for principals as well. So there is a total request of 13 opportunities for professional learning. Embedded in that is an amount of $395 for 2 schools. At this point, I understand that we have vacancies at Highland and Michelle Obama, but we will utilize the self-paced study to provide supports for those new coaches so that we are focusing our time more and getting into the schools, providing supports to the instructional coaches and working more in depth with principals so that they can understand this process and further implement and being able to improve performance in their schools. So the total cost of this request is $46,290 that will be taken from PDC 1% for the 2021-2022 school year. It's recommended that approval be granted at the next board meeting. Are there any questions?
Ms. Morrell,
I have no questions.
Ms. Oswald.
No question.
I have no questions. We're down to our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question. I do have one concerning the budget transaction report. I see a increase. It says to cover the remaining Prop R projects of $3,230,000. I'm not sure that what that is about because there's no decrease in any line item, other line items to balance that. Dr. Singleton or Ms. Green, can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, Ms. Green, are you here still?
Yes, I'm still here.
Did you hear my question?
Okay. Dr. Beckwith, repeat that question. I think I heard
Yes,
it. But I want to be clear.
on the budget transaction report, it says to cover the remaining Prop R projects, and it's $3,230,000 and a few cents. And there are increases that total 3.2 million, but there's no decreases that would balance that. So I'm asking, where is that money coming from?
So, Dr. Beckwith, we had a meeting this week. Myself, actually it was last week, myself, Virgil Smith, Ms. Green, and Mr. Lucas, our construction consultant. And what we wanted to do was make sure that we understood where all of the Prop R line items were. And we found some discrepancies with what the system showed us having versus what the actual approved projects were. So this increase here, Dr. Beckwith, will just simply let the system recognize where those balances are. So I think when Prop R was originally input, each year you have to roll over a new budget for Prop R, whatever you did not spend for the previous years. And I think we're going on 3 years with Prop R projects. So this increase is not new money. It's simply to recognize the remaining monies that we have and we're going to expend in those line items.
Okay. Understood. Understood. All in favor of the consent agenda, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Our last items are action. There are 5 of them. May I have a motion to approve Keber et al. For special audit?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 The motion passes. Back to school plan for 2021-2022. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We're ready for the question. Are there any? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
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 ESSER, 2 budget and application. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
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 Motion passes. Building 4th floor and asbestos abatement. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second,
There's a second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Item E, 2021-2022 food service RFP. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion passes. And I didn't see this last page. We're down to F. Summer security schedule. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question? Are there any? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion passes. Item G, revised 2021-2022 calendar. Motion for approval.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question? Are there any? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion passes. Temporary staffing and human resources. Motion for approval.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question? Are there any? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
And we remove from the agenda our personnel file audit project, which will be presented on July 13th. That ends our agenda. May I have a motion for adjournment?
So
So
move.
Is there a second?
Second.
I know there aren't any questions. All in favor of adjourning, aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much. And I want to compliment the staff who presented tonight for your succinctness in the interest of time.